I can't believe that we are in LA driving a stolen car. It's not stolen. Stolen!
This is the 2004 Dodge Viper SRT 10. Just about the craziest car that you could buy from a dealership back in the mid-2000s. And the reason for this is pretty simple, and that's because by this time, Dodge knew better. They knew that occupants don't generally like to be burned while they're driving. They knew that side pipes were horribly impractical. They knew that a car should come with things like traction and stability control, especially when you have 500 horsepower, but they didn't care. They built the Viper the way they wanted to build the Viper, and they sold it that way. Today I'm going to take you on a tour of this 2004 Dodge Viper, and admittedly it won't be quite as quirky as a Doug DeMuro video because, quite frankly, I'm not as quirky as Doug DeMuro, but I have found a lot of neat things about this car that I bet you didn't know. Starting with this, they made 8,190 total Generation 3 Vipers. Yes, this is a Generation 3, even though Generation 1 and 2 looked awfully similar. They made 2,435 in 2004, and they made 200 Mamba editions, and this is one of those 200. This one happens to be number 70. With the Mamba edition, you get a few things, most notably on the interior, you get red accents on the center console, the gear shift knob, the steering wheel, and red stitching on the seats. 2004 Dodge Viper uses an 8.3 liter V10, producing 500 horsepower and 525 pound-feet of torque. It weighs in right at about 3,400 pounds, and that's 80 pounds less than the previous model. Now, a lot of people are quick to discount the Viper. They say, well, it's just a car that Dodge threw together, and it's got an engine from a truck and this, that, and the other thing, but that's really not true. The engine was actually built by a company you may have heard of, Lamborghini. That's right, the supercar manufacturer, because at the time, and you might not know this, Chrysler actually owned Lamborghini. Taking a look here at the original window sticker, you can see that the base price was about $81,000. There was only 4 colors, by the way, for the Viper in 04. Viper White, Viper Black, Viper Silver, and of course, Viper Red. The Mamba Edition Group was a $2,500 option. It has a serialized dash plaque, and it has a $3,000 gas guzzler tax with an $800 destination charge back in 2004, bringing the total price to $87,295, or about $112,000 in today's money. The smog index of this vehicle is 1.0, which is all the way to the top of the more polluting end of the spectrum when it comes to smog. The gas mileage, which really is just laughable at 12 in the city and 20 on the highway. We're gonna go over the entire car on the outside, and we're gonna start here at the back. You can see these extremely long lights. I've never seen a light quite that long until cars of today, where it became a little bit more popular to make them. Also, the taillight itself is pretty enormous. Now, the interesting thing is, because you have a side piped exhaust, there is no exhaust coming out back. Kind of makes the back of the car look a little strange, but they did a good job of creating some type of design with this weird thing here. It kind of looks more like something you would find on the front of the Viper. In fact, it really does look pretty much exactly like the front of the car. On the left, it says Dodge in little raised letters. On the right, it says Viper in the same raised letters. Like a lot of cars at the time, as well as many cars of today, it has a key slot in the back where you can put a key in and depress the button, and it opens the trunk, which is incredibly small because the top takes up most of the back of the car, which wasn't very big to begin with. So you have your trunk here. You do have a nice carpet and the Viper logo there, and that's really about it. Now, this box is from Mopar. I don't know what it is, but I believe it's a car cover which comes with the car. Now, I borrowed this car from Whitmore Auto Group. It is part of their inventory. If you want it, check it out. Really cool car, and in my opinion, pretty much a steal for 60 grand, because it's only going to go up in value, and this is a perfect example with only 1,600 miles on it. Another fun fact about the back of the Viper, it does have a functional diffuser. You can see most of the bottom of the car is flat, very advanced for its time, especially at this price point, and the battery is also located here in the back and not up front. Right through there, you can see the massive differential that the Viper comes with, which you need when you have 525 pound-feet of torque. One thing this car does not have in the back, which is a little quirky and something I find weird, is that the third brake light is not the Viper logo. It is in the first gen and second gen Viper. It's a little Viper logo that lights up when you depress the brake pedal, and it's like that in the brand new Viper, the Gen 5. But oddly enough, they decided to do away with that for the third gen Viper. I have no idea why. I always thought it was a cool touch, and I guess for this car, they just didn't want to do it. But of course, the quirks don't stop at the back of the car. They continue here to the front. The Viper has no interior hood release. You have to release it manually from the front of the vehicle. There's a little pull tab right here, and your hood pops open. So if you're ever at a car show and you see a Dodge Viper, you can go up to it and pop the hood yourself without having to ask the owner. And in case you forgot any of those stats, Dodge is nice enough to put it for you here on the intake shroud, V10 505. Also, there is a sticker here that says built with pride at the Connor Avenue Assembly Plant, Detroit, Michigan. Now, a lot of cars have a badge or a little plaque. This is just a sticker, but still, at least it's there. I think one of the funniest things about the Viper is, yes, volume-wise, the engine is huge, 8.3 liters, but also just the exterior dimensions of the engine are completely ridiculous and enormous. And look at the intake manifold. It's as long as my leg, as is the fuel rail, and the valve cover is about 3 feet long itself. And one other thing about the engine bay is, now, I'm not sure, I didn't read up on this particular fact, but it kind of looks like it. This looks to me like it is stamped carbon fiber, which is something that you would be very hard pressed to find on a car from today, much less back in 2004. This is something you would find on a modern day Lamborghini Huracan Performante, but that's what it looks like, and that's pretty impressive. Everything about the Viper is big. Look at the hood. It keeps going and going and going and going, and now we're finally at the end of it. And continuing with the big theme, the Viper has big vents in the hood, it has big vents in the side, and it has big back tires, but not just big, really big, 345 millimeters wide. And now to put that in perspective, a modern day Corvette ZR1 has 335 millimeter wide tires. This is wider than that. Most people I know running a big drag radial aren't even running a 345 tire, but back in 2004, the Viper came with a 345 on the back stock. The wheels are chrome, which was the only option back in 2004. Black wheels weren't really a thing yet. And oddly enough, the fuel door was on the passenger side. Moving on to the inside of the Viper, this is where things really get quirky and interesting, starting with just how you actually get into the car. There's no regular door handle or a button like Corvettes had. It was a little handle up top here. When it was locked, it did nothing. When it was unlocked, you could simply pull open the door. One interesting thing about the interior is just how small the door is itself. I mean, it's incredibly tiny. I can just about fit both of my hands together, and that spans the entire door. There's really not much on here. You get one big handle you can use to open and close it. You get the little pull handle to actually open and close the door, and then you get a little lock and unlock button that's not labeled. You do have power mirrors that you can use. Here's the little controller for it. You can press the left button for the driver mirror, right for the passenger mirror. But that's it. Really, the door panel is fairly plain. It doesn't even have, you know, design here like you would normally see on a lot of cars. It doesn't have anything going on down here. It's just two pieces, red and then black. I really do find that fascinating, just how small the door is because of that massive door sill when you get in and out. I mean, like I said, I can literally span the door just about with my hands. Seats are incredibly nice to sit in, actually. They are really well bolstered and comfortable, and they actually have a little suede insert, which kind of actually was in style in the mid-2000s, then kind of went out of style, then came back as Alcantara, whatever. It's the same thing. It's basically suede. Speaking on the subject of the seats, I know this is an $81,000 car, but it doesn't have power seats. That would add far too much weight. It does, in fact, have manual seats that you can move forward and back. You can adjust the back of the seat as well, but only this far. That's as far up as the seat goes. There's absolutely nothing, no storage of any kind behind the seats, except there is this little box here that you would think does something, but I can't for the life of me figure out what it is. It says Viper. It's a little indentation. It seems like it would move, but it doesn't. So I think it's just there for looks. The pedals really aren't that normal. Going from right to left, you have number 1, the gas pedal, number 2, the brake, number 3, the clutch, and then number 4 is, I'm not sure, just a dead pedal, although I've never seen a dead pedal that looks exactly like every other pedal in the car. They're also really close together, if you notice. I mean, the brake pedal and the gas are about 2 inches apart. The clutch travel in this car is insanely long. I'm gonna start pushing, 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 and there I'm at the end. The key is pretty normal. You have the Viper logo there on the actual key part, and then on the fob you have lock, unlock, trunk open, and panic. And that's really it. No fanfare here. Again, the same key that you would get in any Dodge product of the time. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, you really do have to be careful about those side pipes and the door sill because it gets really hot. And I knew about this, and I still just burned myself getting into the car. Not a joke. And everyone says like, oh, the Viper will burn you, but yeah, it really will. And the door sill is so massive, it makes it extremely difficult to avoid. I mean, look how much room I have to clear with my leg, and not being a taller guy, I can barely reach the ground before my calf is touching it. And it's not just like over here by the end of the pipe, it's this entire piece. It's literally burning hot right now. And like I said, Dodge, they knew this. They knew that this was not going to be practical. They put a warning sticker here, and I love this. It says, Serious injury can occur. Hot exhaust pipe below. Avoid contacting this area and the exhaust tip. Thank you for the advice, Dodge. I guess I won't touch my exhaust tip now that I know it's hot. There's also another warning sticker here that says top support behind seats is not a roll bar. This is an open vehicle. Drive carefully. Another good tip from Dodge. I imagine just about every single Viper owner out there has at least one little scar on their leg from where they burn themselves getting in or out. This, of course, being a convertible, it does have a removable top. The mechanism is very similar to Corvettes, where you depress this button and then pull the tab and you can lift it right off. Not very hard, but I'm not going to do it because, quite frankly, I don't want to put it back on. If you want to listen to your music very loudly while you drive along in your Viper, you're in luck because the Viper has two massive speakers in this little waterfall section. But if you want to have a cup or a drink in here, well, you only have one cup holder and it's very small and it will definitely get in the way if you're shifting gears a lot. E-brake on this thing is massive and very heavy to use, but it works. The window switch controls are not on the door panel where you would find them in a normal car. They are in fact here in the center console. You don't really have much here in the center console, just the window switches and a little badge here that says Mamba Edition 70 out of 200. Center console also comes with a decent amount of storage and a second cigarette lighter. The first one is up here. You can press this little thing down and it opens up. You can also turn the passenger airbag off and on, a very common feature in cars from this era. The glove box is pretty normal as well, not a whole lot going on, and it's not very big. However, something the Viper has that a lot of cars from 2003 and 4 didn't have is an engine start button. Now, you do still have a regular key you have to put in first and turn it on to accessory mode, but once the key is in and on to ignition run, you can then press the button and it will start the car. Now, I've turned the car on to show you the other fun fact about the engine stop-start button. Well, I should say engine start button, because when the car is on, pressing the button doesn't do anything. The button just doesn't make any changes at all to the vehicle. The vehicle stays on and you have to actually turn the key to get the vehicle to shut off. And when you're really done with the car, after you've already figured out the engine start button doesn't turn it off, when you turn the key off, the key doesn't come out until you press that button. The engine start button is about where the Viper's features begin and end. As for the rest of the vehicle, there's not a whole lot here to keep you entertained. You have a lot of gauges. You got an oil pressure gauge, coolant temperature, engine temperature, and battery voltage. But other than that, really, there's not a whole lot to look at. You have the same head unit from any mid-2000s Dodge. Yes, this is the same one from a Dodge Grand Caravan minivan in a car that, once again, in today's money was about $112,000. You get a CD player and you can adjust your bass and treble like a lot of cars of the time. It has a little exterior thing here on the radio where you can adjust that. You can adjust where the sound comes out in the car. You don't have anything like an auxiliary port, which in 2004, 2005 is actually becoming somewhat common. Air conditioning control is very basic. You have a big knob here to adjust the fan speed, the temperature going from cold to hot, and where you want it to blow on you. I would recommend keeping it at your feet, because when you're driving this car, I've heard that it likes to burn you alive. No, that's not a joke either. Many people have complained of actually being burned while sitting inside of the car and driving it. Burned while sitting inside. Not only might the Viper burn you while getting in and out, but it also might just burn you for driving it. As for the gauge cluster itself, not a whole lot going on, except it is kind of neat. It revs all the way to 7,000. I'm not sure if it would actually get there, but nonetheless, it says you can. That little arrow, by the way, right by the 7, where that little circle is, if you can see it, little arrow, that lights up when the car wants you to upshift, of course, for miles per gallon economical purposes, something I know is very important to every Viper owner. And the speedometer goes up to 220 miles per hour. There's no mirrors either in the Viper. I guess Dodge didn't want you looking at yourself. It's just a little sun visor, but again, no mirror in it. Sometimes, I will admit, in a lot of cars, there is not a mirror on the driver's side, but there's not even a mirror on the passenger side either. It's just really, it's so incredibly small in here. I mean, once again, I'm not a big person whatsoever, and it's insanely tight. Like, if my foot is on the gas and my left is on the clutch, my knee is but a few inches from the speaker and inches from the dashboard, and I'm not really sitting that far up on the pedals. In fact, if I go all the way back with my manual seat, this is as far back as the seat goes. So if I would say anywhere from 6 feet and up, my knees would definitely be hitting the dashboard. A few things you will not notice in the Viper is any type of selectable driving mode. There is no sport mode, there's no touring mode, there's no race mode. It's race mode all the time. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there is no traction control, therefore there is no traction control button located anywhere. There's no off and on. There is none at all. You're on your own. There's no stability control either, which is pretty crazy. I mean, again, this is 2004. Dodge knew better. Everybody had driving modes. Everybody had traction control. Everybody had this stuff. The Viper did not. They truly built and sold the Viper the way they wanted to, on their own terms. They knew that putting in an automatic would increase sales, but they didn't do it. They knew that the car should have modern driver aids, but they didn't do it. They knew that a modern car should really have airbags, but they didn't want to do it, even if the federal government stepped in and said that they had to. Against their own wishes, they did install airbags, 2 of them, and only 2 of them, which was the bare minimum, 1 in the steering wheel and 1 above the glove box. But the whole Viper airbag thing didn't really work out all that well, because in 2003 and 2004, Dodge recalled a few thousand of them for faulty airbags. They were randomly deploying for no reason while people were driving down the road. See, Dodge was right all along. They had the right idea. You don't need dangerous airbags that might deploy at any time. You're much better off without them. Speaking of airbags, while we're on the subject, that is what Dodge claims killed the Gen 5 Viper, the newest one. They say that because of regulations stating in 2019, every new car has to come with side curtain airbags, and Dodge can't do it on their platform, they can't sell the car anymore. In my opinion, the real reason is because Dodge really hasn't been selling too many new Vipers. They sold well the first year, and sales have been pretty bad after that. And I think the main reason for that is the automatic transmission thing. If you look at Corvette sales, which is the closest competitor to a Viper, the automatic far outsells the manual. And if the Viper came with an auto, I think a lot more people would buy it. But again, Dodge sells the Viper on their terms, not on anyone else's. Now that we've gone over the outside and the inside, we're going to take the Viper on a drive. But first, one more quirk. When you're revving it, the gear lever moves. I've never seen that in any other car. Driving the Dodge Viper, and man, this is an experience. It really kind of feels like a race car. Everything is super tight in here, and I'm not a big guy, about 5'9", 180 pounds, and I mean, it is really tight for me. Like, I have no room on the side. So if you were a bigger person, and even the ceiling, like, I'm almost touching the ceiling, this would not be the car for you. But my God, it does feel rather cool. And the first thing I notice is just how notchy and short the throws on the shifter are. Super easy to drive. It's actually very easy to get into and drive once you are moving. The only tough part is getting started. The clutch travel is so long. The longest travel of any clutch I've ever experienced. Driven a lot of manual cars, and it's different in that way from anything else I've driven. Oh man, it's badass though. It really is badass. Holy hell. Rev match downshifts are very easy to do. It feels very natural. It just loves to actually do it. It's not hard at all. You get that sound is just great. It kind of sounds like a Lamborghini in a lot of ways, and it's different because you can hear it coming out of the side pipe. It's not coming out of the back, and it does provide for a different experience. Hold on, we do have a little bridge here. Like I said, it does feel like a race car. The steering wheel, you know, in today's cars, they have a lot more grip and bolstering. This steering wheel's a little bit just round. Of course, we don't have anything like a flat bottom here, but it does feel like a race car and looks like a race car. It's interesting too when you're driving, there's like, the Viper is so short in the back, there's nothing back there. You just have all the space in front of you, you have your little driver's area, and then you have like 3 feet behind the car. Driving the car, I can kind of see what people mean when they say it gets hot in the passenger compartment, because it does get hot, especially down by my legs. I can feel the heat coming up, and it's not exactly a hot day. It's only about 70 degrees, but you can feel it getting hot. I'm not driving the car hard whatsoever, but hey, it's an 8.3 liter V10. It makes a lot of heat. But look how easy it is to drive. It's so easy to shift. This car is cool, and one of the most surprising things about it is how nice it is to drive. You know, I was thinking it was gonna be this bare bones brute. It was gonna handle like trash. It was gonna be a terrible shifting car. The clutch was gonna be heavy. But really, I don't get any of that. It's a very nice car to drive. I could see driving this every day. I could see driving this on weekends. That is the most shocking part to me. It doesn't feel bad. I mean, that's the only thing I can say, is that I've heard so many people say, like, the Viper, oh, it's a cool car, but it's not good to drive. I mean, I think it's pretty good to drive. It still turns a lot of heads on the road too. I mean, people really get out the phones and stuff, which is something that you don't get with a Corvette. Now, this is Corvette pricing. This one is for sale for $64,000. And so, I mean, it's Corvette pricing, kind of more of today's Corvette, which, you know, definitely the Corvette, a C7 Corvette for a similar price is going to be the better car, the better all-around car. But if you want something that's going to be a showstopper and has a lot of presence on the road and gives you an exotic feel, what else are you gonna get for 60 grand? Best part about the Viper, it's America's exotic. You know, you get the cool parts of an American car. You get a big shouty engine screaming at you all the time, but you also get the cool looks of like a supercar, and you get something that is rare and that you don't see every day. And I gotta tell you, I mean, this thing is impressive. So that is going to finish up my review on the Dodge Viper, but now we have to give it a mic score. That's right, a mic score. I have 6 categories, starting with number 1, the fun to drive category. The Viper is really fun to drive. It's not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be, although it doesn't quite handle as good as some modern performance cars. It's a show everywhere you go, and it has no problems ripping donuts or sliding around corners, so I give it a 7 out of 10 in the fun to drive category. The next category is practicality. The Viper really isn't practical at all. It's a terrible vehicle to drive every day, although it is fun, and therefore I give it a 2 out of 10. It has some storage and a cup holder though, hence why it gets a 2. Next up we have the wow factor category. This is where the Viper really shines. It has a ton of road presence, way more than its competitors like the Corvette, therefore it gets an 8 out of 10. The only way it could do any better is if it was a true blue exotic like a Lamborghini or something like that. It would have a little bit more of a wow factor, but the Viper does a great job turning heads. Next up we have value. Now when this car first came out, I would say it was not a great value at $80,000, but now in the used market, I would say it's a pretty good value, because since the Viper has been discontinued, I really don't think it's going to lose any money. It's probably at the bottom of its depreciation curve, and therefore in value it gets a 7 out of 10. Next up we have the power category. Now the Viper has 500 horsepower, 525 pound-feet of torque, which is a lot even by today's standards, so it does get a 6 out of 10. However, modern day cars are getting more powerful by the minute. Products from Dodge have 700, 800 horsepower, for example, so it can't quite get above a 6, but it still does very well. Last but not least, we have relevance. How relevant is the Viper in the car world? Well, I think it's very relevant. It gets an 8 out of 10. It's a really important car. People know it. People love it. It does have a cult following. Even though it doesn't sell that well, and there's not too many of them, it really is an icon in the world of cars. Hope you guys enjoyed this upload. If you are stopping in for the first time, please subscribe. Take care. Have a great day.